A Nike employee or a former Nike employee who is making the rounds with a video that is now circulating the internet, talking about the situation involving Nike, Caitlin Clark, the slow play that they're doing, even doing so much to show how their stock is falling off the shelf. And let's talk about this video. You may have seen it by now. I'm going to show it to you again, but it's a former 15-year employee at Nike in the women's division. And
after Adidas made a move so daring that it forced LeBron to double-check his contract, Caitlin Clark completely changed the course of events, rocked the sneaker world, and could have just made Nike sweat through its swoosh. Caitlin didn't simply return the clap. She made a shocking revelation. Now, Twitter is ablaze, fans are going crazy, and sneakerheads are second-guessing their life decisions. What was it she said? What is causing Nike to panic? Was Adidas the one that just stole the show? This one is going to be crazy, so buckle up. Well, it's not like Caitlin Clark just threw money on the court. It seems that she unintentionally dropped Nike a lawsuit's worth of receipts. The swoosh is now more of a sinking checkmark of unfulfilled promises than a representation of athletic brilliance. Yes, you heard correctly. Nike didn't fulfill their half of the bargain. Like a poor Tinder relationship with a commitment problem, the company that essentially invented sports sponsorships is suddenly ignoring its biggest emerging star.
A big game for Caitlin, her returning to her alumni in Iowa and her hitting that massive logo 3, the logo 3 during the game that some of her sponsors would want to show her support on social media, do any sort of marketing to uplift her and uplift their brand. And one who did do that was Gatorade. They tweeted a photo of her and they said, "Real home court advantage. Welcome back to Iowa, Caitlin Clark." Now, one of her lead sponsors that was noticeably quiet yesterday was Nike. And a lot of people were tweeting about this. They were wondering, why isn't Nike and Nike basketball, why are none of their accounts saying anything about this? Yes, it's a preseason game, but this is a huge day for Caitlin. She's returning to...
Let's discuss the brass tacks. Nike chose to treat Caitlin Clark like an afterthought in a sale bin, despite the fact that she is currently the most well-known figure in women's basketball. It's not fair to give a generational talent a middling deal while simultaneously treating every other player in the league like the next Jordan. In particular, you don't do that when Adidas is out there bench pressing the whole women's sports business while performing power squats with $100 notes.
Nike, we need to talk about Caitlin Clark. Let's you and me talk about Caitlin Clark since you refuse to talk about Caitlin Clark. I care deeply about you. I spent over a decade in your marketing organization. I spent several years trying to get into your organization. And it's been 3 years since I left your company. I'm just here as a friend. I care about you. I want to show you two different charts here. One, your stock price since 2021. It is down nearly 60%. Your executives and the people who are making these decisions, their stock options are worthless. Meanwhile, you have the single biggest needle mover in all of American sports since Michael Jordan, and you have somehow convinced yourself that you need to slow play this. Let me show you Google Trends search traffic for 4 female basketball players. There is one who only rivals Caitlin Clark, and that is Angel Reese, and you do not have her. She is over.
Adidas isn't merely observing. They're scurrying around like a cat in a laser pointer room. Adidas appeared as soon as Caitlin's group appeared, even somewhat irritated with Nike, saying, "Hey, we brought you your own line, signature colorways, and an endless supply of actual respect." In addition to flowers, they sent an entire bouquet of sneakers with personalized branding and a group of marketing experts prepared to outshine Taylor Swift in a gym full of Swifties.
How in the world is Nike not going full on Caitlin Clark phenomenon? You've got the most popular women's athlete in the world. Do they still not have a Caitlin Clark shoe out? My mind is blown by this. The minute that she started playing in the WNBA, you should have rolled out for every little girl in America the Caitlin Clark ones. And that should have been the baddest ass women's tennis shoe that has ever...
Get rid of Caitlin and Nike. Like a poor hairstyle before prom, dump them. You're more than just a participant. The moment is you. Give them a resignation letter and a mirror in a perfectly arched jump shot if Nike is unable to see that. Because the true kicker is right here. Clark's shoe brand wouldn't only sell if she joined with Adidas. Sales charts would be completely destroyed. If Wilson were being conservative, Caitlyn's kicks would outsell Wilson's 10-1. Before you can say step back 3, kids would be scaling them on StockX. They would appear as though they were donning holy relics when they arrived at school in Clark 1S. Grandmas would be camping at Foot Locker once more, as if the Air Jordans had just been released in 1996. Nike lost track of who they were interacting with. Caitlyn isn't a new act. She isn't this month's flavor. They issued her a shoe deal with the same vigor as a potential wedding invitation, despite the fact that she is the league's future. It was a huge error because the fans were devastated when they learned. Hashtags began to fly. There were written threads. Sources from the NBA Players Side Ames Sports Center abruptly became quite chatty. And let's take a moment to discuss that Angel Ree promotional photo. Why only one picture? Why the peculiar editorial decision that gives the impression that she is leaving a 2010 reality show reunion photo session?
A lot of conversation has been made around Caitlin Clark, her signature shoe, the Nike deal, and with how much Nike has been dragging their behind, which how much Nike has been moseying to the finish line when it comes to pushing the Caitlin Clark button, fans started speculating maybe this deal isn't as official as we thought it was. We get no signature shoe, no news of a shoe all season long. We get no merchandise all season long. We get no commercial all season.
Look, GBK, we're not arguing that Angel isn't worthy of attention. Rather, we're asking how that came to be your rookie class's main spokesperson. In the meantime, Sophie, a baller with stats who, let's face it, actually plays for the same team as Caitlyn and is unlike half the people in Nike advertisements, is oddly missing. Where is Sophie right now? With Caitlyn, Aaliyah Boston, and Sophie Cunningham all acting aggressively with lighting and demeanor, where is the Fever 3-player spread? Instead, during the Basketball Queens WNBA reunion show, we get a single poorly cropped image of Angel Ree standing, as if she's going to read someone for trash. You forget Sophie is out there, draining jumpers, diving for rebounds, and playing for a team that is at the forefront of this new wave of women's basketball. It's more than just a poor PR strategy. A PR faceplant, that is. It's like picking Jason Derulo for a halftime concert after being handed Beyoncé, Rihanna, and Adele. Make sense of it. In the meantime, Sophie would have been featured on a billboard, made the new face of Adidas training line, and allowed to toss shoes into the crowd like candy at a parade following each game. It's an embarrassing contrast. It's going to become nasty, so let's go back to the shoe fight. Consider this. Adidas is dropped. The Fire edition of Clark 1. Within 4.3 minutes, they sold out. In the parking lot, children sob. Adult men quarrel over the size of toddlers.
Caitlin Clark's Nike deal might be the worst endorsement deal in the history of professional sports. You guys remember this billboard that was put up in Iowa? Well, that's one of the last times that Nike has done anything for Caitlin Clark. They promoted her more in college than they have at all the entirety of the WNBA season. She signed an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike that also included her own signature shoe, which honestly, looking at it now, $28 million for 8 years is an absolute steal for this superstar, when a player like Wemby's Nike deal was rumored to be over $100 million. Caitlyn has not only had an incredible rookie season, but she has also transformed the WNBA. GBK,
she feels as though that this Nike deal has been racially motivated. She believes that there's a disparity in how Nike is prioritizing and rewarding athletes like Caitlin Clark. And it's just, she's saying that athletes like Caitlin Clark are getting the better deals compared to other athletes, especially women of color. She additionally expressed her frustration through social media in her podcast, The Reese Life, suggesting that Nike was not treating all WNBA players equal.
They apparently thought, let's put all the girls in one pot and call it a campaign. Fans of Clark didn't simply notice. They're furious. Right now, if Nike had a suggestion box, it would be exploding. If we're being completely honest, Caitlyn may need to come to the realization that her brand isn't something that belongs in a PowerPoint presentation in the boardroom. She is not an easy target. The entire presentation revolves around her. She inspires cross-country broadcasts, sells out arenas, and makes 40-foot shots appear effortless. Without Nike's assistance, she has established her reputation, brand, and influence. To be honest, why not choose Adidas despite them? They are daring, hungry, and unafraid to place a wager on a lady who has literally rewritten the rules. If she requested, they would most likely give her an entire division and allow her to title it Clark Performance. Her fan base would follow her like Moses separating the footwear aisles. Let's face it, Nike is playing catch-up in the meantime, acting as though they are late for gym class. Meanwhile, Caitlyn is jokingly redefining what it means to be a rookie star while acting as though the shoe issue doesn't exist, which naturally makes it even more prevalent.
All season long, and it had people thinking to themselves, maybe this deal that we all thought was finished and signed and completed isn't as finished, signed, and completed as we thought, or maybe they're renegotiating. Maybe Caitlyn Clark on her end pulled back the reins, said, whoa, let's revisit this clause that I said if this doesn't get done in this amount of time, we need to revisit that. People were even speculating that. But today was the Nike quarterly call.
In actuality, this goes beyond a simple footwear deal. It has to do with acknowledgement, respect, and visibility. The goal is to avoid pushing the world's largest female basketball star to adopt a one-size-fits-all marketing approach and hoping she won't notice. Again, spoiler alert, she and everyone else noticed. In other words, Nike violated the agreement. Not only the actual legal matters. We are discussing the moral compact. You lift us, we lift you, is what they say. However, rather than lifting Caitlyn, they gave her a copy of a group agreement and a dull pen as if they were autographed lunch meeting napkins. She ought to enter Adidas headquarters, sign the largest endorsement contract in the history of women's sports, and then watch as her first signature sneaker causes a swoosh-shaped hole in the whole market. And Nike pulls off the ultimate narrative twist just when you thought they couldn't mess up anymore. You know what? To be clear, the sneaker we're launching for Asia, Wilson, really fantastic for Asia. She is deserving of it. However, it poses the most embarrassing red flag question. What on earth happened to Caitlyn Clark's shoe? Yes, exactly. That is most likely located next to a list of persons Nike neglected to contact in 2023 in a dusty Google Drive folder. During the NBA Finals, Angel Ree is out here receiving more camera time with Nike than LeBron's Cavaliers. Advertisements, commercials, interviews, and billboards. She can be found anywhere. However, Nike is intent on making her the face of the league's upcoming chapter, while also ignoring the woman who is literally carrying the rookie class like she's lugging a rucksack full of bricks and court vision. It's beginning to resemble a full-blown identity crisis, or possibly a midlife sneaker meltdown more than a marketing tactic. Because Nike is busy giving the microphone to athletes whose most viral highlights include clothing rather than offenses, while Caitlyn lights up arenas, draws record-breaking viewership, and sends social media into a tailspin every time she sinks a 30-footer.